that they make would be ones that are healthy, God, ones that encourage other people in our community, Lord, to be honest and full of integrity. God, we know that you've entrusted this task to these people, Lord, and we just pray that you would bless them in their duties and bless them in their personal lives too, God, that you would just shower them and their families with health and strength and with peace too. Lord, I just pray that as this meeting progresses, that you would help each person here to understand what's being said, and that when there's confusion or misunderstanding, Lord, that you would just leave room for grace and mercy as people contemplate different ideas. Again, we just thank you and pray that you would bless this meeting and bless those here. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. We'll go ahead and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everybody, to tonight's meeting. Beautiful late summer evening. I was going to say fall. It's not really fall yet, right? We'll go on to item number 3, which is to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting.
So moved.
Motion by John, second by Roy. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, it brings us to the next item, which is to approve the consent calendar, which is the minutes from our August 27th meeting and the payment of bills.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mary, second by John. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same, opposed, same sign. Motion carried. It brings us to the next item, which is to consider approval of Resolution 1960, authorization to execute Minnesota Department of Transportation Agency Agreement for federal airport expenses reimbursement.
So included in your packet is Resolution 1960, and basically what this is doing is extending ARPA COVID-era grant. The original agreement had expired in September. This will take it in January, I believe, 2026. So, yeah, basically what that funding did was help offset maintenance and operation costs. So, recommend approval.
I'll make a motion for the approval of Resolution 1860.
Second.
Motion by John, second by Doug. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those-
Fitting that there was an airplane flying.
Yeah, right. How much did that cost you?
Timing is perfect.
No discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. That brings us to the next item of business. Consider approval of Resolution 1961, calling for a public hearing on proposed assessments for the non-payment of delinquent utility bills.
A copy of that resolution is also in your packet. All we're doing tonight is setting a public hearing for those.
Second.
Motion by Roy, second by Mary. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Brings us to item number 7. Consider approval of Resolution 1962, approving liquor licenses.
So this is Ives Family LLC, and when we did these in June, they were looking at doing putting it into a different corporation, but we're back to what they had been. So Ives Family LLC.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mary, second by Doug. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item up for business is to consider request from B&B Sports Bar and Grill for permission to be open at 7:30 a.m. on Sunday, October 6th, due to the Vikings football game.
Copy of the request is in here. It's not just a Vikings football game, it's a Vikings football game in London. That's,
So the game's not at B&B's.
We've done this before, I can't remember.
We did.
Legends or something.
I think it's for B&B's, but it's a different,
This one is, yeah.
I think the other one was too. But
I think you're right,
anyway,
yeah.
I make a motion that we do that.
Second.
Motion by Doug, second by Blake. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion carried. Move on to item number 9, which is to consider approval of outdoor event request for September 28th by Beck's Burger Company.
A copy of that request is on page 15 in your packet. We do have representatives from Beck's here tonight. And so what they're proposing to do and asking permission of the city to do is to have an outdoor pool tournament in a portion of the parking lot, starting at 10 a.m. on Saturday, the 28th of September. Anticipate attendance is at participants at 24. So 24 different players. They'll have a couple of staff out there requesting that alcohol be allowed to be served, not needing anything really else from the city as far as police presence or things. So basically, just requesting the use of the parking lot and for alcohol to be allowed out in the parking lot.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Doug, second by Blake. Is there any discussion?
How late does that go back?
And I'm sorry, if I missed anything and you wanted to come to the podium and speak or have Connie.
Would you like to come to the podium and explain in detail your event? All right. Just thought I'd check. We have a motion and a second and no discussion. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion carried. That brings us to item number 10. Consider approval resolution 1963, authorize airport improvement entitlement funds transfer to aid funding for construction of the 6-unit T-hangar.
So the resolution is in your packet. We've talked before about entitlement lending. We've done it for communities, and other communities are now doing it for us, looking at $150,000 each from Cook and Glenwood, and then $120,000 from Tower, Minnesota. So basically, we're authorizing the acceptance of that, and then we'll have basically another one saying that we're going to repay it.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mary, a second by John. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. And we'll go to number 11, which is to consider approval of resolution 1964, authorization for acceptance of fiscal year 2024 AIP and AIG grants for funding for 2024 for construction of a 6-unit T-hangar.
So this 1964 basically is for the overall federal dollars. There's two different components to that. One is AIG funding, the other is AIP funding. And grand total on here, we've got $959,000 and change of AIP grant, and then $225,000 of AIP money on there. So this basically allows us to sign the documents when they do come, and to accept that federal funding.
Make a motion for resolution 1964.
Second.
Motion by Doug and second by John. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
We moved through those 60s fast.
All right, move on to item number 12, which is to discuss the 2025 preliminary budget.
So just one note, just so the council is aware, the T-hanger project, we were kind of hoping to get started on that this fall, but by the time we go through the process, it'll be November, and that's going to be a little late to start doing site work and pouring concrete out there, so we're going to get on it right away in the spring. That'll be it is already in the 2025 budget, but you're hoping to sneak it in as a winter project. So budget, starting on page 2022, we met last week, the preliminary levy, I can't remember, what was it, 3.23? Right now we're at 2.53. We will be at our next meeting in September doing final budget, or excuse me, preliminary budget levy stuff. So I don't know if people have looked at the budget more. We did go through it in quite a bit of detail at the workshop. But I think a 2.53 number is really good coming in on preliminary. And between preliminary and final can go down, not up. And as time goes by, we always get more definite numbers to work with.
Have you gotten the insurance renewal yet?
Not formally.
Hard to plan.
I know, it's frustrating. Thursday, they tell me no.
But they didn't say which Thursday.
Right, right. They gave us a range, you know, we know it's not gonna be more than 12. So even that is helpful. Anybody have any budget questions or want to go over anything in detail?
So what changed from the original 3 to the 2.5?
Do you have a list off the top of your head?
You what?
I was asking Tara if she had a list. I mean, it's not much. You know, it's $7,000.
Oh,
A little bit of tweaking here and there. So if you take a look at it and have any questions at all, give me a call. We'll, happy to go through it in as much detail as you want.
I think our work session went very well, and I think everything was explained really well, and questions were asked, so. All right, we'll move on to committee reports then. It's all right with that? First committee report is the Staples Economic Development Authority. Lucas?
Turn your mic on.
Perfect.
Your debut.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me. I just had a couple of updates I wanted to provide you guys with in no particular order of importance. The first one that I had was I had a conversation with the Minnesota DNR floodplain representative to go over Staples' floodplain ordinance, which is still compliant, but he said it's a little outdated, and the reason that he reached out was because federal rule changes may basically mean that they're going to be checking in with the city on a pretty regular basis. But we don't really have much in terms of anything going on with floodplain. It just might be that we may be requested from Minnesota to update the ordinance at some point in the future, just that that's on you guys' radar. The Small Cities Grant is underway. As of today, there have been 21 out of the total of 30 lead-based paint assessments that have been completed and billed for, and that comes to just shy of $17,000 that has been dispersed out of those grant dollars. So a lot still remaining to be done, but a lot of the assessment phases is done from my understanding. We reached out for an extension on the Blandon Foundation Leadership Capacity Boost Grant that we received. Originally, the funds were due to be allocated and spent by the end of this September, so this month. And it was becoming very apparent that we would have had to frantically rush to spend and allocate those dollars based on where things were standing. So I reached out to the Blandon Foundation and requested and received an extension on that until September of 2025. So that gives us a whole nother year, and it'll give the EDA some more time and the EDA board some more time to ensure that everything that we're doing is reflective of the direction that the community wants to go and is, part and parcel of a larger, more holistic community plan. So that's exciting, and I think it'll also give us a chance to potentially find some supplemental dollars that we can bring in. Things that come to mind would be things like T-Mobile has a grant for downtown revitalization, almost exactly the same in structure as the Blandon grant, providing for pretty much the same thing. So we could probably apply for, no guarantee that we'll get it, but some funds from that. You can always potentially reach out to places like Sourcewell, among others. So we'll keep an eye out, but I think that extension will give us more time to potentially find additional dollars for the rollout of the wayfinding signage plan and some of the other things that were in the pipeline. So that's where that is. With respect to the EDA Industrial Park building, as I had mentioned before, Voyager Industries vacated their Unit A of our building. They're still, in business in their building, but they vacated the A unit, so that is currently unoccupied. We had it rekeyed, just, as a best practice, but it still will probably need some repairs to the flooring in there, so I'm getting quotes on that, essentially, is where that is in the process. Shouldn't be much, just a couple of places where there's been some divots into the floor that we should probably take care of before we get a new tenant. But I am happy to report that since it's been vacated, I've received 3 separate inquiries from various interested parties, none of which have gone any further than just asking what the rent and space and everything else is in terms of a lease. But that's good to know. And of course, if any of you know of anyone that would be looking for a space to start or expand their business, that's what it's there for. So update on that. Most recently at the EDA board meeting, we opened a discussion broadly, and it was in the paper, so some of you may have read that if you were looking at the paper. Opened a discussion on finding an economic niche for the community, sort of a specific thing that we could focus on and try to excel in. And I only bring that up to mention that I received an email from the Economic Development Association of Minnesota, EDAM, today, announcing that they're going to do a webinar series called Building Your City's Economic Profile. So I felt pretty vindicated that I had brought that up, and now it's become a germane topic at the state level. So I'll be attending that. Having run through all of that, are there any questions? Anything that anyone would like to discuss?
Thanks, Lucas.
Thank you.
That brings us to the Public Works Commission.
We had our meeting last Tuesday. We gave an update on the water node project. We had discussed that also at the budget workshop. If anybody has any questions, feel free. Otherwise, I'll move on. Cold weather is coming up. So when I was reviewing the cold weather rules this year, I noticed that we have to have a policy for people to appeal a disconnection. So we came up with one. The basis of it is that the customer will appeal. If they're on the disconnect list, they'll appeal. Myself and the utility billing clerk will review it. We'll give them a decision within 10 days. If the customer still disagrees with that decision, he may present it to the Public Works Commission. It has to be in the time frame of the next Public Works Commission. Whatever the Public Works Commission decides will be final. This has never come up before in all the years that I've been in public utilities. I've never had anybody appeal. We are pretty thorough, especially in cold weather times, on when we disconnect somebody because it can come back on us. So if anybody wants to read the full policy word for word, I can send you a copy. And then also just updated on some ongoing projects. You've probably noticed that there's construction on the Lakewood Oncology Center, and then been contacted by the Farmers Union. 2 years ago, we guessed right and ordered the proper transformer, so we were able to supply both of them, so we're happy about that. Overlays have been completed. We've also done our part as far as the lead and copper rule, which had to be submitted by August. And then once again, I think it's the third year in a row, both schools will be participating in the, what they call the Smart Energy Squad program now, but Missouri River sponsors a program where it's, they provide curriculum and then also some different, you know, like light bulbs and things like that. So it's part of the science class where kids learn about energy and energy conservation. It seems to be a very popular program. I usually get a response right away from the teachers that they want to do it. So that's all I have. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
They teach the kids to turn lights off when they need.
Not my kids, but apparently they teach some kids.
That's a carry on. All right, thanks for that. That brings us to open forum. Is there anyone here that would like to speak during open forum? Once, twice? City administrators report.
Don't really have a list. I ran out of time to make a list tonight, but asked around the obituary for Mike Ives, who passed away on Labor Day. I want to extend my condolences to the Ives family that, for the short amount of time they've been involved in Staples, they've been very involved and committed to our community. So thank you, everybody, for signing the card. Take that up to the funeral next Tuesday. That's all I have. Unless there's questions.
I move that we adjourn.
We have a motion by Roy, second by Mary to adjourn. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.